come to order. There's a quorum present. All of our commissioners, with the exception of Commissioner Dickey, are here in attendance. All legal notice has been duly posted, and the court is duly called. Is there a motion to open court?
There should be a motion to adjourn the court for the June term.
Oh, you're right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, how about a motion to open the July term?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And our invitation today will be given by a guest for our county administrator, Darren Martin.
Pastor Gregory Drake is going to come forward. Pastor Gregory Drake is the pastor of the Jubilee Community Church in DeSoto, Texas. He studied at the Lighthouse Gospel Center Bible School, Jarvis Christian College, and Dallas Theological Seminary for Bible studies. He is currently enrolled at Slidell Baptist Seminary. He's a licensed, certified Christian counselor. He serves as a member of the DeSoto Chamber of Commerce, the Southwest Regional Representative for the Financial Assistance Council for the Full Gospel Baptist Fellowship International. He's also the state treasurer for the North Texas Full Gospel Baptist Fellowship. He's married to Tanyeka Drake, and they have 3 beautiful daughters. And he happens to be the pastor of Court Administrator, Mr. Darren Martin. Glad to have a pastor.
Thank you, sir. Shall we pray? Oh Lord, how excellent is your name. Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you for our great county. Lord, we ask that you would just continue to direct us. Lord, we thank you for wisdom as we lead the residents of Dallas County. God, bless our judges. God, we'll trust in you. And Lord, we know you'll direct our path. Lord, we will not lean to our own understanding. So Lord, we're thankful for the way you protected us. Lord, we pray for our troops. We pray for our president. Lord, we need you now. Amen.
Amen.
Please rise. Dallas County Commissioners Court is now in session for the July 2011 term with the Honorable Clay Rose Jenkins presiding.
Okay, welcome to the meeting of This is our first and last meeting for the month of July, as the Commissioners Court will be recessed for summer vacation. Court Order 16 voted on June 21st. However, we'll still be working with our department heads and elected officials to close our less than $5 million budget gap needed to balance the budget. When we return in August, we'll be very close to a line item budget, and we'll begin the process of posting public hearings in September on the proposed tax rate, which we expect will remain unchanged. I want to commend the staff before we get started, our elected officials, and also the members of this court. We started off with a $38.2 million budget gap. We've brought that down to around 4-point-something million. I think to a large extent that is due to the work of our staff and the work of this court in our afternoon sessions and the way we've approached the budget this year. When I say we, I don't just mean the 4 people that are up here today, but I mean all the staff and the way that you've approached it and really drilling down and finding those savings. We will balance this budget without a tax increase, without touching our 10.5% emergency reserves, and juxtapose that against what the state just did. They spent half of their reserves and they severely cut public education. That's their core responsibility. Our core responsibility is public safety. We added roughly 1,000 beds to our jail capacity. We closed an inefficient and extremely expensive, or depopulated, I should say, an extremely expensive jail in the Decker unit. And we actually added prosecutors that are working on our state jail initiative to get those criminals that have been sitting in our jails too long, those state jail those accused state jail felons, to get those folks to trial faster, to keep your family safer. So I'm very pleased with the work that's been done, and it shows what government can do when government focuses on its core responsibilities and works together, as opposed to going off on political goose chases. So thanks to everyone for their work, and thank you, staff, for your work. We have today let me go through the. Well, by the way, before we go through anything else, let me recognize family. I got not only my mama, who's here in front of the crowd, who's here every week, but I've got my niece Arabella, who is back from a summer, whatever that is, a summer school at A&M to practice being a lawyer. She wants to grow up and be a lawyer. And her mother, Laura Jenkins, is there. Laura is a teacher in DISD, and Arabella will be a freshman at Townview next year. And I'm very proud of them and glad to have them in attendance. Today we'll be considering items on our official agenda. We'll recess for our informal work session, and then we'll hear from registered speakers. The court will convene in closed session to consider items as allowed by law. We have 3 resolutions this morning. The first is from Commissioner Price.
Judge, Commissioner, this morning we're pleased to have with us the probation, parole, pretrial, community services. And so I'll ask them to come forward this morning. So whereas during the week of July 18th through the 22nd, 2011, probation, parole, pretrial, and community service officers will join together with Dallas County to celebrate the 12th annual probation, parole, pretrial, and community service officers week. And whereas community-based supervision is the oldest and most widely used vehicle through which a wide range of court-ordered obligations are rendered to juvenile and adult offenders. And whereas in Dallas County there are 420 probation officers employed by Community Supervision and Corrections Department, 250 juvenile probation officers, 11 Texas Youth Commission parole officers, 350 Texas Department of Criminal Justice parole officers, 120 United States probation officers, and 6 Dallas County Department of Criminal Justice pretrial officers. More than 11,775,000 juvenile and 69,800 adult offenders are served by probation and parole each year in Dallas County. And whereas Dallas County probation, parole, pretrial, and community service officers are dedicated individuals, we share a strong common concern for people of the community. They deliver accountable, humane, effective, and individualized services for offenders. And whereas these are dedicated professionals who work diligently to ensure public safety, provide victim services, and hold offenders accountable, thereby providing support, protection, and reparation for victims and the community. And whereas all citizens owe a debt of gratitude to the hundreds of community justice officers who are committed to providing valuable and essential services for Dallas County. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court is hereby proclaim July 18th to the 22nd, 2011, probation, parole, pretrial, and community service officers week, and congratulate, honors, and extend sincere appreciation to officers in official recognition of their contribution.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Clerk, introduce yourself. Just introduce yourself and then comment.
Good morning. My name is Linda Coleman. I'm a 25 and a half year criminal justice professional for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Parole Division.
And they have been an integral part of us managing our whole jail population. They are one of the reasons that we've been able to depopulate not only the Decker Center, but to keep the George Allen Center till now. They've also joined us in our services of using what was the Roy Patterson piece? The video, that's made the difference. The video conferencing has made all the difference in the world. The Sheriff's Department has done that to handle, and therefore they have definitely increase their hearings and in managing that population. So I just want to say thank you, Ms. Collins.
I have a motion and a second.
And I thought we voted. It's really, I said, oh, you're passing it.
Yeah.
You moved it, no? That's okay. Okay, our next one is from Commissioner Garcia.
And I want to call to the podium, and I don't know if they made it this morning, the Institute of Economic Empowerment for Women at Northwood University. They're not here today, but I'm very pleased to present this resolution because I'm going to give it to the university, later this month, colleagues. And it's a program that has been in Northwood University for some years now, and I believe it's a program that really makes a difference. So this resolution reads as follows. Whereas, from July 8 to July 26, 2011, the Institute for Economic Empowerment of Women at Northwood University will partner together to host women from Afghanistan and Rwanda in order to provide a life-changing business learning opportunity with the Peace Through Business program. And whereas 14 women from Afghanistan and 16 women from Rwanda first spent an intensive 8 weeks of training in their home countries this past spring, and now will build upon that knowledge on the campus of Northwood University in Cedar Hill. And whereas the U.S. portion of the program provides educational experience in the classroom and real-world approach to the involvement of well-respected women business owners from around the United States as guest lecturers, panelists, and mentors. And whereas the Peace Through Business program encouraged the Afghan and Rwanda students to meet government and community leaders in order to learn more about American culture in Texas, Dallas County, and Cedar Hill. And whereas Northwood University has the educational mission to develop the future leaders of global free enterprise society is further in Afghanistan and Rwanda by partnering with the Institute of Economic Empowerment of Women to assist the women as they successfully build their businesses, impact their home economies, and influence their government's policy. And whereas the Afghan and Rwandan women will be able to return to their homeland and run their businesses even more efficiently to provide empowerment opportunities to their countrymen and women and to help their country's government to stabilize their nations and, of course, to prosper. Now, therefore, be resolved that Dallas County Commissioners Court officially does proclaim July 2011 as Peace Through Business Month in Dallas County. Then I so move.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. And I've got the last resolution. It's an extreme privilege to invite representatives of the Dallas Baptist University super regional baseball team to come forward at this time. I'll just come on up here to this podium. These guys, 6 years ago, Dallas Baptist University picked one sport to take to the D1 level, and that was men's baseball. There are only men's D1 baseball team here in Dallas County. And they have an enrollment there of 2,000 students. That's small, obviously, by university standards. And I would guess that they don't have all of the advantages of some of these schools like Oklahoma that are frequently, we frequently hear about their advantages when they're put on probation for using those advantages. They don't have all those advantages that a lot of those schools have, and yet they whooped Oklahoma twice this year. They whooped TCU, what was it, three times? 3 times this year, including in the playoffs. They also whooped Oral Roberts in those playoffs. So, what's that? Yeah, beat, whip, whatever you want to say. All right, so I'll read this resolution and move for its adoption. Whereas Dallas Baptist University, established in 1898 as Decatur Baptist College, has flourished since its arrival in Dallas County in 1965 with the mission of providing Christ-centered quality higher education in the arts, sciences, and professional studies. And whereas Dallas Baptist University has a 10-sport athletic department, including a stellar baseball program that has enjoyed a long storied tradition of 32 consecutive winning seasons. DBU has had 127 players drafted or signed to professional contracts, with 11 former players playing in the major leagues. DBU has also had 69 members of their baseball program capture All-American honors, including 4 NCAA Division I All-Americans and 5 freshman All-Americans in the last 5 years. And whereas, as an NAIA member, DBU qualified for 10 NAIA World Series tournaments and won back-to-back National Christian College Athletic Association World Series in 2003 and 4, before qualifying for membership in the NCAA Division I baseball program, and later became the first independent team to make the NCAA regional other than Miami since 1992. And whereas this season, the DBU Patriot baseball team secured their first ever NCAA Division I baseball super regional berth after defeating Oklahoma University, Texas Christian University, and Oral Roberts to claim the NCAA Fort Worth Regional Championship. Their historic season came to an end after falling to the University of California Berkeley Golden Bears 6-2 on June 12. The 2011 Fort Worth Regional Champions ended their season with a 42-20 overall record. And whereas the DBU baseball program has taken an active role in supporting the university's mission for developing servant leaders through participation in numerous volunteers and service projects locally and internationally, including working with DBU Global Sports Mission initiatives in Guatemala, Peru, and South Korea. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court congratulates Dallas Baptist University Patriot baseball team on its historic run on the NCAA Division I baseball super regionals and expresses its best wishes for continued success as it sets itself apart both on and off the field. And I move for its adoption. Thanks. All those in favor?
Aye.
And the motion passes unanimously. I would have renamed the county for you, but they tell me I don't have the power to do that. Just for today, let me put it back. But would you like to say a few words, Coach?
Sure, I'm Dan Hefner, the head baseball coach, and on behalf of our players, I apologize they're not here. They're out around the country right now playing baseball, but on behalf of the players, our administration, coaches, we're very honored by this recognition and consider it a great privilege to represent Dallas County. The majority of our players are from the area and know that our success would not have been possible without them and the incredible support we had through our season and postseason. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coach, I really like to see the picture of the team, because I was wondering how you did that with 5 white guys, but anyway, but you're in good company, because like I said, this is Mr. Prasan in terms of the sports person, so you've been there with the Mavericks and everybody else. So
We can have a break, y'all, through that. Get that working.
Yeah, picture for each one of them. Got a picture for each one. Okay. Can they introduce themselves?
I'm Nate Freening, assistant baseball coach.
Connor Smith, assistant athletic director.
Tyler Knox, assistant athletic director, compliance officer.
And Ryan Irwin, director of athletics.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, let's get a picture, y'all. Well, we got a camera. I know we got a county cameraman, right? We don't have that? Out of the brush. Like one of those things we cut to save money. Excuse me, explain anything now. something kind of unusual things. That's a city script here to go again. I want to call on Virginia Water at this time. There's a lot of information out there right now about bail bonds and whether any money is owed, how much money is owed, who owes the money.
Judge, as we go to the consent agenda, let me ask Mr. Heupel, can we get down to the consent agenda with regards to monies that are owed or with regards to?
Well, you tell me what I can get on there because we need to have a discussion and get some information out there and figure out what's going on here.
Judge, the item was not listed in the agenda, so given the fact that it's not specifically listed, I would simply advise the court to not engage in a public discussion about that item.
We'll have to post it for next week.
Well, the problem is right here.
Judge Gordon, on the information briefing, we have requested under the auditor's request to run some data mining reports against the clerks. Perhaps I could talk about some of the reports there.
Mr. Wright, I'll let you know that.
I don't have that item, so I'm going to look at it now, but the auditor has it.
Okay.
We just talking about the briefing agenda, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can go to the form. I want to make sure we clear up a lot of that misinformation and find out, to the extent we can, how to direct staff per day.
Commissioners, the item here is listed as professional services contract for automated auditing support, and I'm not comfortable that the bail bond issue is one of professional services, and so, and again, in abundance of caution, I don't want to have the AGs come in here and asking us questions. I simply advise you to not discuss the the bail bond articles in the papers under this particular item here.
We can get information out from you, Judge.
I'm trying to get information in too and find out exactly what's happening.
Unless you want to post an item that we will be later in the week. I don't know who's going to be around, but
all of the and our attorney. We'll now consider item number 9, the consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda? All those in favor? We'll now consider items 10 through 57, A1 and A2, and also I think it's relating to the personnel. And we'll, Commissioner Garcia has asked that we allow comments on 11, 14, 25, and 35.
Thank you, Judge.
We need to gather more. I'm going to move well as you allow it and all the way through the court orders.
So that's a motion and a second. Okay, and now we'll have discussion.
Thank you. Judge, Court Order 11 is authorizing the employment agreement for the administrator for the county, Mr. Martin. I think for the 7 months that I have been on represented the county and the constituency of District 4, I've been getting along and I'm very pleased to work with Mr. Martin. However, As you know, Judge promised everybody in the audience, I do not believe that any employee making over $100,000 should have a car or cell allowance. So I will definitely support his contract for another 2 years. However, I cannot support those perks benefits, so I will not be able to. For number 14, it's the statement of qualifications for the sign and build of the new Grand Prairie South Courthouse. I want to thank Sharon Brown and of course Ms. Blair for the letter and of course for having this court order. It's something that Grand Prairie is really awaiting for. Every time I go to Grand Prairie, I'm always asked about this project. As you all got a memo from Ms. Brown saying that she's going to send the information to every single elected official in Grand Prairie, as well as all the parties, elected officials involved, so they can sit together and decide. Well, the design per se in general is already done, but to see what are the details that they can all work together to be sure they have the most accessible and at the same time efficient courthouse. So I'm very pleased, and I wanted to thank the staff for moving this item forward. Agenda item number 25. I am going to support this exception of nepotism for the district attorney's office. However, this probably will be the last one, Judge. And why do we have a nepotism policy if we make exceptions at least once a month? So this will be the last one that I will be voting in favor of. And last, quarter number 35 is the acceptance from the Harold Simmons Foundation in the amount of $20,000 for purchase and installation of air conditioning units for victims of heat crisis in Dallas County. We were very pleased and we are very blessed that we have many organizations, including the Harold Simmons Foundation. And of course, thank you to Lisa K. Simmons for the gift. I think that in this weather and the Health and Human Services Department has done a fantastic job. And I'm sure Mr. Thompson, I want to put you on the spot right now, Mr. Thompson, but if you can please, just send us an email saying how many units, how many families, how many people we have been able to help, thanks to the generous donations of many foundations as well as individuals that have come forward to help the people. Oh, you already did? Okay.
We will have a final report once we get the check. And over the weekend when I came in, we did receive a $10,000 check from the Community Foundation of Texas. It's not on your agenda and probably won't be on there until the next agenda item, but I'm asking that the auditors and purchasing allow the check once we get it over today to utilize so we can go ahead and move forward on purchasing the AC unit. I normally give a total number once we get the funding in and we're able to purchase the AC units, and I give a year-end report, but I can provide the court the previous years that we received the funding and get that information.
And I'm interested also to see the people that get actually the air conditioning units. I would love to have some of them, hopefully later on, colleagues, just for us to meet them and for them to thank, this court, but all the people that made these donations possible.
Yeah, we bring them forward in August. Since you're not meeting until August, we'll bring them forward on their agenda for either the first week or second week.
I would invite Dr. Garcia to go with on some installations.
Yes, I've been some in the past, and I would love to go with some in the future. And of course, I know that you have worked really hard in disseminating information in English and Spanish media as well. So for everybody that watches the board's briefings, I invite you, if you know someone that is in their need and meets the qualifications for the air conditioning units installation, please don't hesitate to call my office, or I'm sure any of my colleagues will be as pleased to help you as well. Thank you, Judge, and that's it with me.
The tailgating on the issue of the air conditioners, we've done 3,391 air conditioners for the last 4 years. And a total of about $568,000. So it's been widely distributed. One of the things that we also needed to do, Judge, to make sure that the record will be clear, is there was an addendum on HR. And so that might, if it is, and I didn't say addendum.
Eliminate one and two.
The break on Court Order 18, I want to thank Judge Bishop for no, she's but this is what we've been trying to get a lot of our courts to understand, and this has real value. What she is doing is she is substituting her full-time court reporter with a substitute court reporter.
Should we contract for?
Contract, yeah, it should be.
The order should state that too.
Right.
There.
But it's savings of almost $44,000. Is Lefty here? I know she wasn't. Did we get that information with regards to Hill? Okay. Karen? Patrice? That's on court order number 15. It's on medical monitor. I'd ask for those information.
What is that did you ask for?
I asked for the percentage of minority procurement
Right.
with regards to the Hill International, which is the project management with regards to the medical.
Yeah, that's, we still have a way to go, but this is a good beginning. I want to thank, Ms. Crawford for, one person doing all this work. Thank you.
And those amendments, I guess we're okay with that upfront cost assistance with the homeowner council, so I know that was pretty much it. We amended that TIF policy.
Yes, sir.
And I guess the court is real. It appears as though that the city is going to move Davis Gardens and Cedars?
That is correct.
Davis Garden and Cedars, and going to do some extension. It's supposed to give the county more latitude in terms of
Flexibility to be able to help things that needed the most in the most needed areas. But, I want to thank Mr. Rosberg because I believe the policy that he put together, it's a real good policy, not only like Commissioner Price said, which allows flexibility, it also guarantees that the county will have the affordable housing commissioner that we need to have, as well as the safeguards to increase our tax base, which at the end of the day is what we all want. So I think that this is just for briefing right now, the changes in the TIF. The specifics for the Garden TIF district will come in August.
Right.
And again, I want to thank Mr. Rick Rosberg for all his work.
Well, this court has always embraced 20% affordable housing. In fact, I can only recall one, and that was Camden, who did not, in fact, buy into it and proceeded without county involved. Other than that, everybody else has bought into the 20% affordable housing.
Thank you.
No, you've been making these on quarter 18, make an amendment to make a contract for the Workers Association.
Make her
Second.
On 18?
18, that was announced.
Okay. Oh, yes. That's it.
And before we vote, I would like to point out that leadership is only as good as the people that are working in the entity. We are incredibly blessed here to have an incredible group of people working here. And at the top of that list would be Daryl Martin. Daryl came to us from Clark County. He frankly could go work somewhere else and make more money. He could go back to Clark County, yeah, and make more money. we are extending his contract for 2 years with his gracious agreement for the exact same terms that he had when he came here. What was it, 4 years ago? 2 years ago. Probably seems like 4 years. That last quarter, right? Just kidding. We're really fortunate. Coming into this, that's been the most. People ask me, what are you most surprised about in the job? I knew that we had talented people here. I knew that morale here was not very high, but I was most surprised by the level of the talent of the people here. And also by the level of how the talent was greater and the morale was lower than I realized. But I think the morale's getting better, and I'm just more impressed every day by the talent. And I think people like Daryl that keep us where we need to be and are getting us in the right direction. So I want to thank you for sticking with us and tell you how pleased I am. Also, that's not just my opinion. We did a 360 survey of Daryl, an online survey of Daryl with key employees and department heads and elected officials. It was an anonymous survey, rather, a double-blind survey with an outside company. And I just hope someday I'll have the sort of scores on anything that he did on that survey. So really, really impressed there. Also on the air conditioning, Maria, who's right there, we had an idea last week. I had an idea when I looked in the paper one morning and saw all of these homeless people that are sleeping outside the bridge underneath those large fans, but without any sort of cooling. With it not getting below 80 for much of the rest of the summer, Maria and I went out there to see the folks, and they could really benefit. And we've asked THU to step up and help with this. But Zach, if there's anything that can be done here to work with Maria, on the outside patios of these restaurants and bars now, they have the Portacool fans. Portacool is a company out of Center, Texas. It uses a big old evaporative cooling system like we used to have in our houses when we were kids. Grandma would pour the water in there. This either hooks to a hose or it has a 40-gallon reservoir in them. And the ones that these folks would need would probably be $2,000 or $3,000 a piece. They probably need 2 or 3 of them. I think we can get a corporate sponsor to step up and do that. But if we have one person go to the emergency room with related illnesses, that's going to, besides the fact of just being good human beings, trying to do the right thing, that we're going to eat up the taxpayers' money right there. And they're having 60, 80, sometimes 100 people sleeping in a building with one side open and just fans on top of them at night. And that's going to be a problem if it keeps being this high. It's just something to think about. Okay, so said all that, and I mentioned we appreciate you, Darren.
Yes, you did. Before you vote though, on A2, you did talk to the judge on that one, correct?
I did, and she is give you the parameters of that. The parameters of that are this. Judge Mullins has assured me that she will work with the Public Defender's Office on the 277 remaining clients that were assigned to a public defender. She'll work with the public defenders that come in, whether they be a priest or a staff person. She will not assign any new cases to public defenders, and we'll wait for her 2 new public defenders, which we will try to hire post-haste. I'm going to hopefully visit with her this week, although we will not be meeting for the next 2 weeks. It doesn't mean we won't be working. And so I'd like to meet with her and hear some of her concerns about things and see if we can, on a go-forward basis, if I can find a way to work that better. Also, I think it's very important, and I've asked that we get an order up for this, that we have, after talking to the public defenders and the judges, we have some maximum amount.
Right. Right.
Well, it's oral, and it needs to, I think, for protecting public defenders, probably
it's not It's not an indigent task force. It's told us very emphatically. Maybe it was prior to this court. And Ms. Richardson, you want to they were pretty clear on both felony and misdemeanor cases, and I think from a malpractice legal liability standpoint, in fact, we had to convince the indigent task force that 100 in the misdemeanor court was not excessive and therefore would not impact the bottom line. I believe that's the case, Ms. Wilson.
That's correct, even though the task force has taken the position that it exceeds the ADA guidelines. We have informed them, based on the budget office's position, that in order to be cost effective, that's the minimum number of cases we need to get. And so when we create new positions in courts, we usually get the judge who's asking for a PD to commit to at least giving us a minimum of 100 new cases in the misdemeanor courts, and on the felony courts 30 to 35 cases, so that they understand that's what's needed in order for it to be cost effective to Dallas County.
It's my understanding that the problem now is that some judges, or one judge in particular, is giving them 1.5 times that amount, about 150. So it's a concern that they can't keep up and adequately address those cost factors. So my thought is, would it be helpful? Now, Louise asking, would it be helpful? I think it would be if we were to set guidelines and order it so that PDs could not handle over a certain amount of cases. I don't know what certain amount is, but that's something we all figure out, so that you have a document that is a court order that says you can't take any more.
But the concern, again, that we had was ADA guidelines had a real difficult time with the 100, that they exceed the American Bar Association guidelines. And what prior courts and Ms. Richardson we had to convince them that they were capable of 100. The problem has come when you start talking about 150. The department has become concerned, number one, with representation. I understand. All I'm saying is, I think that there is a practice that's in play right now, and it is right on the ADA guidelines and the task force. And I think that's been the guide that we continue to do.
And I'll, just to be transparent about the order would be to protect you in your office.
Yes.
And if you've got it in trouble, if you don't think that would be helpful, we don't need to do it. But
I think it would be helpful.
So then I just ask that you work with your judges and whoever you need to put the numbers together and tell us what those numbers are for, what the maximum and minimum are, so we can look at that and consider it.
I just appreciate your intervention and also,
Very good. And Ms. Richardson, I appreciate your work on this and continuing to work with the varieties of different judges and the different ways that different judges want to do that.
Of course, Judge, we want them to be happy with our representation.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, you ready? Let's take a vote. All those in favor of the motion on the court orders 10 through 57 with amendment to 18 and A1 and A2. All those in favor say aye. Okay, well, you want to pull 11 for a separate vote? Okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried unanimously with the exception of 11, with Commissioner Garcia voting against. And that takes us to our briefing session. The court will now reconvene the public session to consider matters to be considered in a subsequent session.
well, Judge Commissioner, we've got a number of items on here, and as you know, we're recessing for 3 weeks, so I apologize for allowing you to already pass the formal agenda. Item 1, helping the services, 2 sheriff, 3 fire marshal, 4 purchasing, 5 IT, 6 public works, all those court orders on the formal agenda. Item 7, planning and development. 7A, recommend approval of proposed provisions to the county's TIP policy, which we discussed already. Item 7B, recommend approval of proposed fiscal year 2011 CDBG and home project funding plan. Notification of public hearing, which we will have on July 19th, and our annual action plan. Item 7C, that quarter was on your formal agenda. Item 8, auditors. Request approval to negotiate a professional services contract with Calvin Webb and Webb Watch Corporation for specific audit services. I don't know if Virginia had anything she needed to add to that.
A few years back, we outsourced some of our audit. We discovered that if we use the audit tools for data mining, we can pull data from our mainframe and our other systems that don't interface well to each other and are very difficult. So we are going to use 100% sampling to pull data from the court systems and increase our ability to audit and report. I have staff positioned able to do this, but have been unable to attract anyone with sufficient skills. So I do want to use an expert to help us get that data done. I think that we need to complete those audits timely.
Virginia, we've talked to Janet in your office. Do you have all the tools that you think are necessary in the IT area to be able to update tools to be able to help you?
We want to use ACL, and we do have a couple of people trained on it. We may need to get some more licenses. It's probably more important that we get people of the skill and caliber who can manipulate that data. So I think we're getting the tools. It's just attracting the people with the talent and the accounting background to be able to recognize standard accounting processes and manipulation of data mining tools.
Item 9, budget. 9A, you have your conference travel training request. 9B, hiring fees exception. You have one in the county clerk, sheriff's office, justice of the peace 1-1, 194th Judicial District Court, our county auditor, IT. The public defender one we're going to pull. Ms. Richardson asked us to pull that one, so we'll bring it back later. And the criminal district magistrate's office on 9C, that court order is on your formal agenda. Under your miscellaneous briefing, I need to pull number 32. I have a couple of other cleanups on travel. On July 21st and 22nd, we have Chris Davis and Renee Gazelle attending a training, grant writing training in Fort Worth, Texas. Renee Gazelle is actually replacing Phyllis Vermillion, who will not be going. I have Judge Holmes who will be going on the DWI conference, the NADCP 17th Annual Drug Court Training Conference. Those dates are actually July 16th and 20th. They were briefed as July 17th to 20th, but that's July 16th to 20th, and that's the same for Ronald Herman from the Public Defender's Office. I do want to make one other note on item 6 in your informational briefing. We're cleaning up finally the last remnants of the insurance claim for the flood we had last year in the records building, and I do want to commend the auditor's office, Shannon Brown, Ryan Brown, all staff. We will probably get about 96% of our claim on that flood, which cost us about $8 million. So kudos to all of them for the work that they did on that. Judge, that concludes your briefing agenda, and you have 4 speakers.
First speaker will be Ms. Linda Blair. Linda Blair. Once again, I'm so excited to know that it's our first and last meeting. And I'm well into our rules, so please read the rules.
All Commissioner Court attendees are hereby advised that this meeting is conducted in accordance with the provisions of the Dallas County Code, Section 74-71. Visitors and registered speakers are to preserve order and decorum at all times. Personal, profane, or slanderous remarks are not appropriate and will not be allowed at any time during this public meeting. Any and all applause is to be kept brief in observance of time constraints. Disruptive visitors and/or registered speakers may be removed and are subject to the penalties provided in the State of Texas Penal Code, Sections 38.13, 42.01, and 42.05. Registered individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and the maximum discussion on any one topic is limited to 30 minutes.
And with that, our first speaker is Brenda Blair. Brenda Blair here. Don't see her, not here. All right. Our next speaker is Mr. Herman L. Green. Herman L. Green. Everybody still like sleeping in from a big fireworks party last night, I guess. Herman L. Green. How about Miss Cynthia Robinson? Miss Cynthia, Miss Robinson, come on up. And I understand you're going to be playing that with a recorder, and you're welcome to come up and play your recording. And yeah, I understand that giving me a note that you have a little trouble speaking, and so you'll be using the recorder. Just to make sure you understand our rules, if for some reason, I hope this doesn't happen, but if for some reason I hit this gavel, I'll need you to turn off the recording until we visit, okay? And then I'll let you know when it's okay to turn it back on, all right? You understand? You can just nod. Thank you very much. All right, please go ahead. And I'm going to state your name and address for the record. This is Miss Cynthia Robinson. She lives at 11700 Audelia, apartment 1416, Dallas, Texas, 75243. Is there a timer here? If not, someone's got that. Okay. So when you hear the beep, you'll just go ahead and turn your recorder on. And, what's the microphone? Go ahead. Robinson, that is Lauren Nish with my office over there on the front row, wait, Ms. Robinson. She's gonna, if you would like, she'll take you upstairs and introduce you to Jennifer Ward, who does constituent service for my office. I see you live on Adelia, and everybody in the county is my constituent, so we'd be glad to hear what your complaint is and help you. And also, if you'd like to get that transcribed, what you were saying on your recording, if you want that transcribed into the record, we'll be glad to work with you to get that into the record. But we do have this 3-minute time limit, and we're over that. We've kind of extended it for you. But we'll do what we can to help you and understand you're upset, so we'll try to get to the bottom of that. All right? Thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. I appreciate you coming in. All right, now the last speaker today is Mr. Charles. Let me give these other guys one more. Charles Lingerfeld. Charles, where you come on? Brenda Blair or Reverend Brittany? I called you guys earlier. No. Okay. Charles Lingerfeld. They've spoken before. Remember your name and address.
Before I speak, Judge, I'd like to ask you a question. If the absence of the Pledge of Allegiance was this morning was an oversight on your part.
We don't have the pledges is not something we've done here for a time, but it's.
I thought it was a practice that we normally do that.
I don't think it is one, but it doesn't mean we don't love our country, because we certainly do.
Yesterday we celebrated the 235th birthday of this great republic. I was reminded of my mother's brother, Private Richard Robertson, a young 22-year-old infantryman in the U.S. Army, who in 1944 was a participant in the D-Day invasion of the Allied forces at the beaches of Normandy. 10 miles into France on July 4th, 1944, my uncle was shot in the head by a German sniper and killed. I've always loved hearing stories of my Uncle Richard, though I didn't know him as a lad growing up in Tennessee. I always thought of him as a true American who gave his life that others might live in peace and freedom. I thought of my grandfather Lingerfeld, too, who fought in World War I in Turkey against the Ottoman Empire. I thought, too, of my father and all his brothers who participated in World War II, and my older brother who served 3 tours of duty in Vietnam, wounded once by a shot to the foot, only to return to the 3rd tour to bravely fight again. America exists today, Your Honor, because of the sacrifices of countless millions of people who have paid the price for the freedoms we enjoy. One of those freedoms is the right to free speech. It is guaranteed to us by the Constitution of the United States and by the Constitution of the State of Texas. The right to free speech, as you know, is found in the First Amendment to the Constitution. I won't repeat it here. You know it already. What I will say is that the blood of my uncle and many thousands of others were shed to guarantee the rights which were contained in the Bill of Rights. The blood of my brother left on the ground in Vietnam is a guarantee of my very right to stand before you today and speak on this subject, free speech. But, Your Honor, in all due respect for you in this court, I have seen signs of the lack of respect for the Constitution and for our rights as citizens of this honorable courtroom. It saddens me greatly when I see citizens, especially women, come before this court to speak and are gavelled down before they even get 2 sentences out. It saddens me when I saw you gavel down a black minister who came to speak honestly and openly before you. Your Honor, are you not aware that these limitations protect the natural rights of liberty and property, including freedoms of religion, speech, free press, free assembly, and the free association, as well as the right to keep their arms? That is what I have to say, and I would like to call upon you to do the right thing and honor the oath that you've been sworn to.
Thank you for that. In response to that, we certainly don't want to abridge anyone's free speech. The rules are rules that I inherited that have been in place for at least 10 years. And those rules are we just cannot allow personal attacks. And this is a place where people can come and speak their minds, tell us their concerns. Particularly, we appreciate speaking on things that are relevant to our agenda to inform us to make our best decisions. But when things violate our code of conduct, we'll have no choice but to gavel those folks down. And I want to caution you again, because in the past, I've warned everyone, and people have begun to use that kind of like knowing they get one free shot. And so what we're going to be doing now is when people violate our rules, we're going to go ahead and send them out of the court for a time. So I really don't want to do that. I really want to hear from you. I want to hear most of you, the folks that are here, are just here to tell us about things they're unhappy with. I understand that. But I do want to hear from you. Just want you to, most of you have been here speaking many times. So you know the rules. We've had kind of a breaking in period for how I call balls and strikes with those rules. So let's try to work together, because I don't want to have to go anywhere. Okay? And having said that, I think that takes us to closed session. So this court is now reconvened in public session. Recess for its closed session is authorized by Chapter 551 of the Government Code as previously noted. Anything that's done in closed session that needs to be voted on will be brought back out and voted on. We'll be looking at actions that will be taking place, votes on those will be taking place in a subsequent open session. So thank you very much. For those of you who are visitors here and not county employees, I may not be seeing you for the next 3 months, or next 3 weeks. So have a great July. For county employees, be around most of the time. Thank you.